Well, thanks for having me, and I appreciate the opportunity to get to share some ideas and things with you. What I want to do is basically just talk to you a little bit about general health, stress management, time management, and then have you ask some questions. And if I have the answers, I'll give them to you. If not, I can get them back to you another time. But how many of you think health is a major part of your lifestyle?
Me.
Why is that?
I think that if I feel healthy, or if that I'm healthy, I feel like that if I'm healthy, then I can watch my kids better. You know, I can do things better for myself. I'll feel good, but then me feeling good will also, you know, flow over to my kids and to my husband. Like if I feel good, my kids will feel good that their mom is, you know, I'm not yelling at them, I'm stressed out because I have a healthy lifestyle, you know what I mean? So I feel like my healthiness and me being healthy is like a big part of keeping my family healthy and strong and put together.
Okay, so it kind of all goes together.
Yes, ma'am.
How much time do you think you spend doing that?
Not enough.
Why do you think we don't spend enough time doing that?
I think I don't spend enough time because I think I just don't have enough time in the day. Like I feel like I just don't. Right, I feel like I'm too busy sometimes.
You don't make the time. You
don't
have
make
the time, but you don't make
Well,
it.
everybody has the same 24 hours,
Yeah,
right?
I don't
we
think
all
I have
use it
enough.
differently.
Exactly.
Right.
But let me give you an analogy. You all breathe on a regular basis, right?
Right.
Hopefully, or what happens?
Yeah.
You lose your health real quick,
Right.
don't you? Type thing. So if we have learned to breathe on a regular basis without thinking about it, right? Ideally, creating a healthy lifestyle in your life is something that almost has to happen like that. It has to be something that you don't really think about anymore once you get involved in it, and it's just something that you do as part of your natural, living and doing whatever you do. But it's hard to get to that point if you don't have awareness. And awareness is understanding why you don't feel good when you don't feel good. What did you eat that make you feel that way? What did you do? Did you walk and pull a muscle, or did you reach over a cabinet and twist your back, or did somebody say something to you that was hurtful? Because that's all part of your health style. Everybody has a lifestyle. I believe you need a health style. And your health encompasses a lot in life, like Haley said. Encompasses how you feel, how you project yourself to other people, and how you receive messages from other people. Because if somebody says something that's hurtful to you, one of the analogies I like to use is you've damaged somebody's spirit when you say something hurtful to somebody. And if you damage somebody's spirit long enough and enough times, you've damaged the core of that relationship. And when you damage somebody's core relationship, you also damage yourself, because you get in a mindset that it's okay to be hurtful. It's okay to say things like that. So your health style really encompasses more than just eating right. Because when I ask people about being healthy, they say, well, I need to eat right, or I don't eat enough vegetables, or I haven't exercised, or something like that. But your health style is really how you're living. It's how you're functioning on a daily basis, just like breathing without thinking about it. So if you're doing those hurtful things, or if you have people that are hurtful towards you that are wounding your spirit, it encompasses a lot of things in your lifestyle outside of that, kind of ancillary, in that it affects your stress, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So we have good and bad stress. We have eustress, which is what we call the really good stress. It's when your 35-year-old daughter comes to you, that's been living with you all those years, and says she's getting married and moving out. And then we have distress, which is the 35-year-old daughter comes to you and says she's getting married, and her new husband are moving in with you. So there's a good and a bad stress, and your body reacts the same whether it's good stress or bad stress. Your body doesn't know the difference. It still has that fight or flight reaction. So the only difference is in your brain physiologically, you have endorphins released for different parts of your brain. So neurologically, things happen when you feel good versus when you feel bad. And the feel good thing is a lot better than the feel bad thing that goes on in the brain. So if our health style encompasses our relationships as well as the stress we feel in our life, then it also has to impact our time and how we spend our time. Because if you're stressed, what happens to how you do things?
Just doing whatever.
You might be helter-skelter. You might decide I'm not doing it because I just don't feel like doing it. or I'm not going to go do it with them because
Right.
they were hurtful to me. So, or you're tired because you've been stressed out. So that adds to your stress, and it also adds to your time management. So when your time management is out of whack, it also throws a kink into a lot of things in your life because you don't get things done. If you don't get things done, you don't feel a sense of accomplishment, which adds to your stress, which adds to your overall health style. So my point here is that when you think about your health style, you need to think about breathing naturally. You need to think about, this needs to come naturally to me. This needs to be a lifestyle change, but it needs to be something that I don't have to think about. You need to get to the point where you don't really have to think about that you're doing it. So, stress management, I'll just touch on that a few minutes. There's only two ways to really deal with stress in my mind. You either change the situation or you change how you think about it. If you can change the situation, then that's good. You take yourself out of that environment, out of that negative environment that's stressful, if it's a distress situation for you. You take yourself out of that environment and you place yourself in a better place. If you can't change a situation, which some of us are locked into situations that you can't change, like when I had cancer, there was nothing I could do about that. I had cancer. I can't say, okay, I don't have cancer now. So that was a situation I couldn't change. But I could change how I think about it. I could choose to think about the fact that I have cancer and I'm going to die, because that's, you know, if somebody said they had cancer back in '85, the big C word, you automatically thought it was a death sentence. But I chose to change how I thought about it and told the doctors they weren't going to tell me when I was going to die. And I chose to take a positive thing. And I'm a firm believer in humor, and positive thinking can heal you in a lot of ways. So you can change your situation or change how you think about it. Now, a lot of times when you try to change how you think about things, a lot of people around you don't go along with you sometimes. They wonder, you know,
What's your problem?
What's your problem? You know, how can you think that way? Because they're stuck in the negative side of the stress element as well. So if you're in a situation, you find yourself in a stressful situation, really just sit down with a piece of paper and write down. Change a situation, change how I think about it. And write down on both sides, you know, the pros and cons of each one of those. And it'll kind of work itself out as to whether, yeah, there's really nothing I can do. You know, I've got a tumor, I've got a broken leg or whatever. I can't change a situation, but I can change about how I think about the situation. So it'll, you know, if you kind of do the pros and cons and write it down like that, because a lot of people will say to me, well, how do you know which one you need to do? You know, well, if you break it down, you'll know whether you can change a situation. Time management hits you in the stress side because we create so many things to do. There's so much more to do now, especially for our children, than there was when I was growing up. I mean, we were just thrilled to death if we had a mattress box or pots and pans to play with. Mm-hmm. Now the kids want to know if they've got Xbox, why they can't have the PlayStation.
That's right.
You know.
Right.
So, you know, we set our kids up, we set ourselves up. We've got to have the latest iPhone, we've got to have the iPod, we've got to have the shuffle, we've got to have the latest computer. We set ourselves up for a lot of stress as well as time management issues. So if you're not using the written form or some type of daily time management thing, you need to start figuring out how to do it. I keep memos in my phone now because I've tried to get away from the paper issue. Because of my travel schedule, I can't carry all that stuff with me anymore, so the computer's just easier in the phone. But write yourself on a list of things that you want to do in a day and in a week. You need to have short-term and long-term goals. The key to writing down things to keep on track timing-wise, you know, to keep your day focused so you can accomplish, is to be realistic. Don't write down so many things that you know that you cannot finish. You know, if you've got laundry to do and you know it has to be done this week, don't put it down for Monday.
Right.
If you really know in your mind you're probably not going to get to it till Friday or Saturday, just put that as a weekly goal. Mm-hmm. Because when we do that, what happens is if you've got that written down on Monday and you don't get to that, it's a failure in your mind. Yep. You perceive that as something, oh man, I didn't get to that, I didn't finish that, I haven't accomplished anything. Instead of looking at the 6 things that you did accomplish, we look mentally at the thing we didn't accomplish. So make them doable, but make them attainable. And the difference is, yeah, I could do that without thinking about it. You know, I can move the pop from the floor into the refrigerator. That's a no-brainer. But the attainable is, I'm going to have to plan to do that, but I can get it done. So you want to have more accomplishments at the end of the day with time management than you do failures, or things that you didn't accomplish. And really, there's no failure. What you have to do is then move them to the next day. And sometimes you won't move them from Monday to Tuesday. You might realize, I need to move this from Monday to Friday. So you need to be realistic about what you're doing and get the attainable things where they need to be in the time frame that you can do them. If you've got doctor's appointments and kids' soccer games and all that kind of stuff, you know you're probably not going to have 2 hours to sit and read. So be realistic, because we set ourselves up for really bombing a lot of times when we don't really realize we're sabotaging ourselves. And one of the things about learning how to take care of yourself, and one of the things I do in my practice on a regular basis is, because people say, well, what does a behavior nutritionist do? I help people understand what their behaviors are that sabotage their health. Because we set ourselves up to sabotage our health through bad time management, through bad stress management, and through our relationships and things that just aren't going the way we want them to. So just that kind of gives you an overview of how those all kind of work together. So if you have any questions or anything like that, I can take some questions, hopefully give you some answers.
I have a question. When we talk about how stress plays an important factor, you know, in just our overall health. You know, why is it that, is it because, and I'm speaking on for women, is it because we're women and we feel we have to carry the weight of the world? Is that our behavior, is that in our nature, that we don't know how to say no, that we just keep getting, I can do it. We were talking on the way home with Janine saying she's a mom and everyone knows she's at home, so they call her during the day. And that's in our nature, being women, we say yes, we say yes, we say yes. We don't know how to say no, we don't know how to say no, we don't know how to say no. Do you think that has a lot to do with we put some of the stress on ourselves, thinking we have to be superwoman?
I think we put a lot of stress on ourselves, but I don't think it's just a women thing. I mean, women are raised to be more nurturing than men, so we have a tendency to think we have to take care of people on one hand. But if you think about men, they have a lot of pressure to take care of their entire family. I mean, that's their role in the culture, is for men to take care of us as their family or their wife or spouse, significant other. We're nurtured to take care of everybody, type thing. Now, behaviorally, we have different personality styles, different behavior styles. So I run into a lot of women that are very direct, very high dominant, that don't have any trouble saying no. And then there are the women that are very compliant and, you know, give up their first child before they say no to a neighbor, you know. So it really has to do with behavior style. It goes all the way back to your culture, how old your parents were when you were born, because that impacts how you're raised. Where you were living when you grew up. You know, take for instance, if you were living in Hawaii, it's a lot more laid-back lifestyle there than if you were raised in New York. Culturally, because behavior is learned, it impacts how our culture impacts us. So when you deal with stress, if you have a family that is very laid back and just handles things differently than somebody that's maybe in New York and handles things, you know, everybody's high-powered or high stress or high anxiety type thing. So, you know, where you were raised, how old your parents were, what part of the country you were raised in, how many siblings you had, all of those kind of things play a part in your behavior, because behavior is learned. So there are, yes, there are some of us that can't say no matter what we do, and maybe that's the way our moms and our grandmas were. So it just depends.
Okay, well, we're going to take a pause for a cause, because this is a round table meeting, and we're going to take a pause, shift some seats, and get something cold to drink, and we'll be back with some more from Jackie Miller. We'll talk in a minute.